Welcome to Street Talk, everybody.
Welcome.
What stories have we got? Tell me, Michael.
You sound so excited to hear. Well, I'll tell you what we're starting off with. We had frank incense recently, didn't we? This week we have crank incense because Kevin's got a little bit mad this week, and he has kept the crank for rants and bants. Yeah, he got mad this week, didn't he? Whoa, we've got stuff to talk about that one. Next up, we've moved on from summer holiday, which partway through the week I was thinking, has she been on this holiday and missed it? But apparently not. This week she has got a summer job. Yeah? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Leftover stew, Gemma. Do you like a bit of leftover stew? That's almost getting a smile from Gemma, that one.
Like
They're doing a leftovers thing at Speed Dial, which sounds very, very nice. Debbie indebted.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got no money, has she? I had a little bit more of the Last Chance salon story. Phil out, Gemma. Phil is gone. Sad times.
I'm mad about that.
I know you're mad about that. I could have called this one Phil out, a form, because he did give a reform this week, didn't he?
I don't get it.
To say that isn't a fill out a form.
Oh, fill
That's
out
what you're doing.
form.
And there's maybe a little bit of tidbitance there at the end of the week. I don't know. I'm
going to go to bed.
No, you don't go to bed. I can tell you're tired. You can go to bed in 3 hours, deal?
No.
Can you make it that long?
Come on, get with it.
Why are you so tired anyway? What's been going on?
Drained of life.
Straight drained of life. Well, I will take on the crank incense storyline then. And Jack has got his leavers presentation on Monday. I got all confused last week because it was my last day at school on Friday last week, and I was having a rant, as I am, prone to do. On the podcast last week, saying that what happened about his presentation, why was he giving something another last day of term, why would any teacher care? Well, apparently the schools in Weatherfield just keep on going for that little bit longer, and Monday is the day of his leavers presentation. Tyrone later on sees Kevin taking paint into the house because he needs to paint the nursery, but oh no, there's an important job at the garage he needs to do. Stephen's brought his Jaguar in to get it, what needed doing with it? Fixing. I don't know any more than that. But Kevin needs to do that. But no, he needs to do the nursery. But oh no, he needs to see Jack's presentation. He's going to blow his gasket. What is going to happen? But Tyrone can't do the car because he needs to see Hope's presentation because she is also leaving school. What are they going to do? Gemma, camera zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in.
Go back in time and not have kids.
And that's not the worst of it either, because there's a bit of a to-do going on over at Bessie Street later, because you know Jack is year 6. He's like 11 years old and not 11 foot high. He's got a bit of a bullying problem at school because there's these kids that are about half his height that start calling him Spanner because he's got 2 dads. So do you remember last week when
2 dads? Well, he doesn't really.
He didn't really, but it was that little strange revelation last week where Jack said to Ruby, "Oh, Evelyn could have been my nana," and Ruby's gone and blabbed to somebody, and then they've all started calling him Spanner. And they're going, Spanner, Spanner, Spanner. And he's like towering over them, looking like, oh, this is a bit sad for me. And then apparently he goes and punches one of them in the face, which we don't get to see, unfortunately. Anyway, school phones Kevin to come into school. So he comes storming into head teacher's office. I don't know, whoever that was supposed to be. Anyway, teacher recommends to Kevin that he take Jack home now and miss out on his leavers show, which I thought was like the harshest thing. I'm sorry. This kid, this poor little gentle giant Jack, has been clearly provoked into lamping who I imagine is the school arse. And now he's been told you can't take part in the leavers assembly. Sorry, I don't believe that would happen. Do you think that was a bit of a harsh punishment?
I don't know what they do with children at school these days.
I think to tell somebody they can't take part in their leavers ceremony at school, I'm sorry, that's a bit of a rites of passage. And I know you can't just, it's not just, I've got my leavers assembly coming up so I can punch whoever I like. But come on, I think that was very, very harsh. And even when I was watching on Monday, I was thinking, so is this his last day at term? Has he been sent home early on his last day at term? Because that seems a bit unfair as well. But no, school keeps on going. Anyway, I felt a bit bad for Jack there. So Kevin goes home. He's in a grunt with Jack. Jack's in a grunt with him. They get into a argument again. Jack says, "Oh, Dad, you never have any attention to me. You're just worried about Abby and the bear in the garage. They all come first." And he showed just how rebellious he's turning. 'Cause you know what, Gemma? He called him Kevin.
Wow.
He did a David. He called him by his... And Kevin's like, you don't call me Kevin. And then they end not on good terms. Wednesday's episode... the direction's a bit funny on Wednesday, isn't it? So Monday and Wednesday's episodes were both directed by Rhys Dinsdale, who Corrie reviewers might remember as having played Joe McIntyre, who got bopped with a boom back 15 years ago or so and ended up in Lake Windermere. Well, he's been on Emmerdale and he's become a director, and he was showing off his directing stripes on Monday. Monday and Wednesday, I think he did. And you could kind of tell on Wednesday, couldn't you?
Very distinctive.
Do you want to say anything about this? You seemed quite opinionated about it on Wednesday as we were watching.
When I was talking to you, perhaps.
Yes. Oh, you can say it here if you want. I didn't really like it. We didn't really like it, did we?
I thought it was a bit... I thought it was a bit obvious, wasn't it? It was like zoom in on someone's face to show...
There was a lot of...
they're mad.
Quick zoom. Shot from above.
It was a different language to the normal way that Coronation Street tells stories, so it sticks out a bit more. I'm sure has its fans. There were some interesting sort of top-down shots as well.
Some bits of it worked well, but the zoom...
Especially with Kevin, I think he did a really great job of making it very stressful to watch.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what he was going for, maybe. Well, I mean, clearly it was. He wanted to raise the tension of viewers, but he was... Yeah, it
was frenzied.
It was very frenzied. I just thought that the zoom looked a little bit...
The only thing I would say is that they sort of started off stressed and they never got any more stressed.
There was no build-up, was there?
It just, everyone was stressed all episode long.
Yeah, the first scene was very much a Rhys Dinsdale fueled frenzy as Kevin's trying to put this cot together in the front room because they haven't got an actual set for the nursery. That's probably what I was worried about. It's like, I need to put this cot together in the nursery, but I can't remember where the nursery is. Is it the front parlour? Is it upstairs somewhere? I don't know. Have we actually got enough room for a nursery now? I bought all this paint and everything. So he's not having the best of mornings. And then Jack comes downstairs and he's all surly and everything to Kevin. Kevin says, look, I'm sorry for shouting at you last night. Been so busy with the nursery, but I'm trying my best, Jack. And then the social worker comes round, and this is the woman that's been on the show like 6, 7, 8 times or so this year, been involved in the Alfie case. And I think she was on Twitter the other day saying that was her last episode. So last we see of her.
Spoiler alert.
Yes.
Everything goes fine.
Everybody's leaving this week. Social worker is dead impressed with the nursery. We didn't get to see it, but apparently it's lovely. And she tries to ask Jack about how he's feeling about Abby and Alfie coming round, but he just ignores her. And then Chesney comes round to take him to school because Sam Aston fancied being in an episode for a change. The social worker tells Kevin, look, your house is great. Kevin says, look, in the long term, I'd really like to take parental responsibility for Alfie, and she thinks that's all lovely. But what if Abby relapses? What if she falls off the wagon and turns into a massive druggie again? Would you be able to look after Alfie on your own there? Absolutely, he says. I'm ready for anything. So that's all looking peachy there for Kevin. Later on, social worker's buggered off, and Kevin goes round to the garage to check over Aaron's work on Stephen's Jag, because... rather than, you pointed this out on Twitter, didn't you? Rather than letting the very inexperienced kid put together a probably fairly easy to build cot and let Kevin, the mechanic for the best part of 30, 40 years, work on the very expensive Jaguar, they decide to do it the other way around. And but apparently it seems at this point in time that Aaron's done a jolly good job, and Stephen comes round to come and collect his car. Kevin, in reward, says, Aaron, you know what, this trial period, I'm going to give it you. You can stay here now. This is going to be a permanent job for life. Hurrah, says Aaron. But then Stephen comes storming over and says his car's conked out down Victoria Street. And I think he actually said the words conked out, which didn't sit right with me coming out of a Canadian's mouth. We need
He's
some
not
Canadian...
really Canadian though, is he?
We need some Canadian listeners. Do you use the phrase conked out over there?
I mean, he's got a Canadian accent and he lives in Canada sometimes, but he's also... was he not born in England?
He was.
And he lived in
maybe
Italy.
Yes.
So I think he knows what conked
Get a
out
whole melting
means.
pot. My car is conked out down Victoria Street. I want it fixing right now. And that starts getting Kevin's blood pressure rising again. And Aaron, meanwhile, is trying to leave work early to go on a lunch date with Summer. And Kevin's like, no, you're bloody not doing that. You've made this mess. You can stay in the garage while I go and sort out Stephen's car. So Stevens rings him up and he's fuming down the phone. When are you going to come and get my car? And Kevin's like, I'll come very soon, I promise. So he goes over to Victoria Street. Stephen, I don't know, if Stephen had any fans at the beginning of the week, I think he pretty much lost them all by the end of Wednesday's episode because he was rather hacked off, wasn't he?
Everyone was just shouting at each other.
My car, I've been waiting here in Victoria Street. I got an important business meeting to get to. I don't have any other method of transportation.
Trumpy.
Is that?
My car is the best car in the whole world. If you don't fix my car, I'm very smart. I can fix the car myself, but I've asked you to do it. So when are you gonna fix it? People have said, you're so smart, Stephen, you can fix any car, and I know I said myself many times. But when are you gonna fix it?
If it had been that, then Kevin would have just burst out laughing. And instead he loses his rag a little bit more.
Why not? Why not? It's a rag-losing day.
And then Jack's trying to phone up Kevin as well, saying, rah, 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 come in. Because has he gone back up to school on Wednesday for his actual final day, I think? And then there's this irate van driver that's honking his... We see him coming down Victoria Street. It's not like he's been sitting there all this time. I don't know how long this Jaguar has been sitting out on Victoria Street, but it feels like it must have been quite a long time.
I like the way Stephen's like, I've forgotten which side of the road I drive down. I'll just go down the middle.
Down the middle of the road, yeah, I know. The whole point about Media City set, Stephen, is that you can fit 2 cars down the street. I know they were talking about Coronation Street then, but I'm sure Victoria Street is fine as well. Anyway, so there's van driver saying, I need you to move my car. I've moved that car out of the way. I've been sitting here for literally 5 seconds and now I'm fuming. Kevin picks up the phone to Jack, and Jack, he wants money for something or other. And Stephen's livid. He says, I'm going to start finding someone else to sort my car out. And then Abby phones, and Kevin's like, oh my gosh, he's having a breakdown. And then he's finally
having a breakdown
snaps.
about the breakdown.
He is having a breakdown about the breakdown, isn't he? Then he snaps and starts taking his anger out on the car, and it is a classic Corrie car smash. Rah! He also gets his wrench and starts hammering at the windscreen, hammering the wing mirror off. He does a little bit of damage to that classic car, which, might I add, must have been a very satisfying scene for Mike Lavelle to film.
Yep, smash, smash, smash.
He's just spent nearly 40 years working on Coronation Street fixing cars, and finally he gets to take his anger out on one of them. And
I'm pretty sure everybody...
Was it a real Jaguar and everything? I guess it must have. Although they could have fooled me. They could have put a little cat symbol on the back of a Skoda, and I'd have thought that it's a Jaguar. But
everybody who works in that garage has probably smashed up at least 3 cars by now.
Do you reckon?
In anger.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
They do like to have a bit of a car smash on Coronation Street, don't they? It's almost becoming a little bit, oh no, somebody else is smashing up a car again. Didn't Maria have a go at somebody's car last year because it used petrol and it was a bit big and bad for the environment?
Well, who was... Nick was...
Nick ruined Michael Rodwell's ice cream van that one time.
No, but there was... Who was parked outside...
Oh yeah,
the bin was in the way.
Yeah, somebody was blocking. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, oh yeah, that was just recently, wasn't it?
Who was that?
I don't remember.
Nick was there. Was it David?
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, they're starting to do it a little bit more often. I like a car smash as much as anybody else. That bonus stage in Street Fighter 2, lots of fun. But I think Coronation Street needs to start coming up with a few new ideas.
Maybe they've got a job lot of windscreens.
Do you reckon?
Or windshields.
Do you think
you're not from the UK?
Do you think that they just go down the local scrap thief and then say get any cars that we can?
Yeah, why not?
Anyway, so after Kevin's taking his anger out on this car,
everyone's like, "Oh no!"
Blimey, Kevin. Never thought you had it in you. I thought you were so mellow. Kevin goes around and saying, I've never done anything like this before. I've never got mad before.
I never do this. I don't know what anger is.
John Stape's still got the scars. Anyway, Abby, meanwhile, is still at Wendy's house because, like I was wrong about it being Jack's last day at school last week on the podcast. I was also wrong about Abby coming back home. And I think there's about 3 episodes in the course of the past week where I thought, and now Abby's moved back to number 13. I'm just losing track of what's going on. But anyway, she's over at Wendy's on Wednesday, and she can't get hold of Kevin. She's been trying to phone him, remember. Wendy's saying, oh, you're brilliant, Abby. You've come so far. Everything's going to be just hunky-dory. Stephen, meanwhile, comes mooching back to the garage later, where Tyrone's there apologising on Kevin's behalf for making a bit of a mess of his lovely Jag, and he says, look, can you just cut Kevin some slack? He's had a proper hard time recently. Stephen, though, is not feeling particularly charitable. He's like, I missed out on a great business deal.
£25,000 worth.
This is what I and many people on the internet don't get. Why does Stephen have a business deal over here? I thought he came back because David begged him to come back.
I'm very suspicious of Stephen.
Why does he have a business deal? Why does he have a car here after all? Is it a hire car? Is it not insured? Is it actually his car?
Why would you hire a Jag as
exactly.
well?
Just to really show off.
I think it's
I'm
either
from Milan.
No, not very good writing, or there's something more about Stephen and what he's up to and why is he here than we previously thought, because he came back very quickly, didn't he? And he came very quickly in the first case to see Audrey after he was sort of warned about her. And he's trying to do deals with Sarah about Silk.
If he goes down the evil villain route, this week was certainly a good step towards that, wasn't it? Because he was absolutely vile towards Kevin on Wednesday. And it seemed to be a little bit out of character for me. I mean, Stephen's never been the most happy-go-lucky, chilled character.
He's a bit morose, isn't he?
He is, he's a little bit, but just literally standing there, spitting bile at Kevin, who was clearly trying to do his best. And I know that he paid to have his car fixed and everything, but it seemed a little bit out of character for me for Stephen to be quite so irate at him, and it felt like it was just put in to give Kevin an excuse to snap.
He's not a very savvy businessman either. If his £25,000 deal gets scuppered because his solution to his car breaking down was to shout at the mechanic continuously until the mechanic had a mental breakdown and wrecked his car more, when he could have just phoned streetcars. Like, literally, there's a taxi firm. You can see it. As you're standing in Victoria Street, shouting at Kevin that your car's broken, you could just turn slightly to one side and go, there's a taxi firm over there.
Yeah, he probably did it at the end of the scene. He's like, oh my God, I feel so stupid now. And Toya's like, don't worry, love, I did that a couple of months ago as well. I had a stress out on the very same road and I could have had a taxi too.
Won't believe how easy it is to forget that.
Anyway, so Kevin, Tyrone's trying to tell Stephen to go easy on him, and he says, oh, Tyrone, you're really loyal, but seriously, Kevin's a liability. Kevin shows back up at the garage, and it looks like Tyrone's grovelling has worked. Stephen's allowing Tyrone to fix the car, and Kevin says, tell you what, I should have just gone with my gut and not let Aaron do the job. Well done, Kevin. Probably not the best idea.
I mean, what does a kid know who's literally been working at the garage for like a month or so? Maybe he does mess around with cars a lot. Why would you give him like a really important client and a very expensive car to work on?
What's his training like?
Like, what's his supervision on this car that he fixed? He was supposed to check it, wasn't he? But he never did.
I don't.
There was an explanation in the show for why it didn't get checked before Stephen took it out. So they did cover their tracks there, but...
Well, I don't remember what it was, so it didn't work for me. Anyway... Tyrone says, look, you need to tell Abby what's happened here. You can't, because Kevin's kind of put in this predicament that, oh, I've been arrested now, so maybe Alfie's gonna not be able to live with it. Was that what it was?
Yeah, they were just worried.
There's going to be drama with Alfie because I've got a criminal record.
They're investigating them to make sure that Alfie's going to be safe living there. And
do you know what I mean? Just imagine if Alfie's having a bit of a rough night and he's crying all the way through the night at 3:00 in the morning. Kevin strides into the room and whacks him over the head with a spanner.
Just go, shut up!
Anyway, you got to tell Abby, says Tyrone. Speaking of which, Abby comes home. Hurrah!
Again,
she's back again.
She does this many times.
Yes. But this still wasn't it, was it?
No, she's just
I'm
popped
really
in for a cup of
confused.
tea or something.
Anyway, she's dead excited because she's coming home on Friday. Kevin tries to tell her all about his mare of a day, but she's too hyper to listen. They end up going to the pub instead to have a drink with Sally. Abby says, how's your day? You said you had a bit of a day from hell, Kevin, and he's kind of wound down a little bit more. Now he's got a couple of beers inside him, and he says, I just had snarky customers. Everything was fine. Can't tell you. He didn't want to rain on a parade, does he? So honourable. And at the end of the episode, it's left with a little bit of a cliffhanger because Stephen shows up at the police station. They have police CCTV cam and everything. And he says he wants to make a statement, but we don't get to find out what that statement is.
No, it does end. The show ends on him looking very determined, sitting down, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it kind of was a bit of something and nothing on Friday, wasn't it? Because it was just him dropping the charges.
So was the end of Fridays.
Oh, yeah. I know it's kind of nice, the end of Friday's
right,
episode.
carry on.
Friday's episode, so just to hammer the point home that Jack has finally turned into a teenager, Friday's episode starts with him getting into a row with Kevin because he just wants to sit on the sofa and play on his zombie game, and Kevin says that you got to go and whatever he wants him to go. It's the first day of his summer holiday, Kevin. Come on, get him some slack. Let him sit around playing a zombie game.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be playing zombie games anyway. He's 11. Just because he might
not
look
11.
Jack's probably just gone into the computer shop to buy that. Like, he doesn't even need to get ID'd or anything.
He goes into the shop.
You're 18, aren't you?
No, he goes into the shop and says, I want to buy Zombiesy 5, please. No return. And the man says, is it for your kid?
Yeah, probably.
Says, yeah.
Anyway, so Tyrone comes over a bit later as well, and Kevin says, look, I've not told Abby about me getting arrested yesterday. And Tyrone says, I really think you should. Hashtag no more secrets and all that. And then the police come knocking on the door. Oh no, great cliffhanger. And Kevin's like, I'm sorry, I just kind of lost it, okay? And they said, it's fine, Mr. Webster, we are not pressing charges. Well, Stephen has come into the police station and he's decided that he's going to let you off. Phew, says Kevin. Then they get back into the car and drive off. But oh no, Abby shows up in a taxi just at that very exact moment. Abby's very good at doing things like that, isn't it? Because it was only last week that she happened to turn around the corner when Wendy came out of the house. This week she comes round the corner when the police are leaving the house. Every time that... she's going to start getting a complex that every time that she arrives somewhere, people just are disappearing and leaving. I don't know. Anyway, she says, what's those police officers doing there? Kevin says, no, Tyrone kind of came up with an excuse. He said, they're just doing a door-to-door about something. Abby buys it. Everything's good. So they settle in. Kevin's got a lovely HD baby monitor. She's dead impressed by it. And they all go to Speed Dial for lunch, where Kevin starts to open up a little bit about the fallout that he and Jack have had this week. Then Stephen comes into Speed Dial. And he's there to see Yasmin, isn't he? But he checks how Kevin's doing, and he says, Tyrone told me he'd had a bit of a tough time recently, so I've decided, I've asked the police to drop the charges.
What charges?
What charges, says Abby.
Uh-oh.
So Stephen's like, whoops,
Stephen.
I shouldn't have said that. And Kevin has to confess all to Abby. So they go home. Kevin's clearly insecure about looking after Elfie. And Abby has to say, look, you're doing a great job. I'm glad I know about the arrest now, and it's all fine. Don't worry about it. And then he says, Jack's been a bit of an idiot and he's getting into fights at school. He thinks that I only care about you and Alfie. And then Abby starts to get the distinct impression that she's not welcome round there where Jack's concerned. And she starts spiralling downwards as she is wont to do, and says, maybe it's better if I don't come back at all. And Kevin's like, no, don't go back to Wendy's. And if I was an American, I'd be able to make a joke there. Don't go back to Wendy's. I need you to make me tea instead.
Yeah, they make burgers.
They do make burgers, don't they?
Chili.
Anyway, Jack
burgers.
Jack just kind of pops up towards the end of the episode. He's having a bit of a chat with Kevin outside the cabin. He's calmed down and everything. He hears he hears Kevin. Well, Kevin tells him that maybe Abby doesn't want to stay anymore. So Jack gets a little bit guilty about that. Heads inside, and Abby says, "Look, I know that having a new baby brings about a load of new changes and everything, so I've decided I'm not going to come back until you're all ready." And Jack completely loses all of his teenage angst that had been building up inside him. He has his hormone level just goes whoop, And he says, "Oh, I love you. Oh, we'd be lost without you. Kevin wants you home and so do I." And he says, "Sorry, Kevin, I've been an arse all week. Abby, can you stay with us?" And then they have a very heartwarming scene at the end of the episode where he gives her his end-of-year presentation to read, which is very schmaltzy and soppy and it's like, "Oh, moving on's hard and change is good and oh, it sucks that my mum died when I was little and oh, so it's pretty rubbish that I lost my leg and got sepsis and everything as well. But you know what? At least I got me dad and he's met a funny and brilliant woman called Abby and we're a family and whatever life throws at us, we'll be able to deal with it together as a family." And I can just imagine him reading this out on his leavers ceremony and all the people in the audience are going, what is he going on about? Everybody else is just saying about what a lovely school that they've been to and what the funny memories are.
I enjoyed doing maths. I like making a paper mache.
I like doing PE and my favourite bit of school is break time and lunch time. And Jack's there kind of spilling his heart guts out about his family and they're like, this isn't
PSE.
This isn't about that, Jack, but never mind. It's very, very sweet. Abby gets all teary and they end the episode with the big old Webster hug.
And a suspicious zoom.
Well, yeah, it's like a zoom out, isn't it? It was very weird. I didn't particularly mind it, but I was expecting it to reveal something. So the camera kind of is on the three of them and it just kind of works its way backwards out the door and into the hall. And then it kind of goes to the bottom of the stairs. And then you cut to the outside of the street and it zooms back a little bit more. And it felt like there was going to be someone sitting at the bottom of the stairs or somebody listening
like
in. Or
some kind of conflict or like revelation.
Or even just the like, you know, the camera settles on a photo of the happy family together or you know, maybe a picture of Molly or something like that. But it wasn't anything.
It really did. That would have made more sense.
Yeah, but then they realised they haven't got a table out the front for a photo to go on. So,
dear.
Anyway, that was that storyline. Gemma, what did you think of the Webster woes this week?
I didn't really like this manufactured, "Oh, I don't know if you really want me to come home. Oh, you do." Like, it felt like we spent the whole of Friday's episode getting to where we started on the beginning of Friday's episode.
Well, the whole of the week did seem a little bit of a run-up to, oh, there's a load of drama before Abby comes home, but they all lived happily ever after, didn't it? And unfortunately, it did lead to a whole bunch of characters, in my opinion, either overreacting to things or acting out a character, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It was all just manufactured, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like, yes, it probably is stressful to have your spouse come back home after spending a couple of months away.
With a baby.
With a baby and a flaming Wendy Crozier. But they
It's
just
not the end of
didn't.
the world, is it?
It didn't feel like there was enough natural build-up.
There
it was
wasn't
just,
any...
like you said earlier, it started off at 100% stress, and there was nowhere to go from there.
Yep.
I don't think that Kevin would have actually started smashing up a car. I know he's got a bit of a temper sometimes, but would he have done that? Knowing what the car is and knowing how much it's worth and I know
also what kind of a person owns it and the fact that he said, "I need it urgently."
Yeah, I think it was not in. I think Kevin wouldn't have done that, but like I said before, they seem to like characters just smashing up cars when they're feeling a bit narked on Coronation Street recently. I don't get it. Stephen, I was a bit of a Stephen defender before this. I mean, out of all the returns we've had this summer, okay, he's the least exciting of them all. But Wednesday's episode, I was just left thinking, what have you become? You know, I didn't like him there. And Jack, he's always been relatively chilled and sensible, and some might say mature for his age. And then this week, they just decided to turn him into a stereotypical grumpy teenager. He's only 11, remember? And it felt like they just said, oh, teenagers can be grumpy. Let's have a grumpy teenager to push Kevin's buttons, you know? It's a shame because I did like the final shot of the episode. I liked the happy ever after.
A lot of this was a waste of time, honestly.
It was just like,
Storm
Abby's
in a
coming back.
teacup.
What drama can there be? Let's have this. And there's probably going to be like no consequences to any of this. Stephen's decided to drop the charges. So, you know, what's going to happen to his car? Did Kevin say that he'd pay for it?
Yeah, they're going to pay for it, yeah.
How much is that? Is that going to cause a dent in the Webster's finances, or will nobody mention it ever again?
They're not going to mention it, are they? And there's no consequences a lot of the time for things.
Go straight to the web money pit.
How much money would that really cost? It costs loads of money. And just because you do it yourself doesn't mean the parts are free.
No, exactly.
And also, he's supposed to be spending time with Abby and Alfie and Jack. But now he's got to do this. He's either got to do this extra work, or he's got to pay somebody else to do it, or Tyrone has to do it. And Tyrone's supposed to be spending time with his family.
Yeah.
Just no consequences really. It's like being in trouble with the police is not the only negative thing that could have come out of this.
It is funny to think that that now Jack and Hope have now left primary school. Like, it's funny having the two of them next to each other, isn't it? And seeing Hope, I think, comes across as being quite young for her age. And, you know, I teach year 6, so I know what year 6s are like. And as much as we kind of make fun of Jack for being a little bit older than he should be, there are year 6s that I know who are, you know, quite tall and mature and voices deepening and everything like that. So it's not really out the realms of possibility. But Hope comes across as she's treated younger than she is. But it'll be funny seeing them dressing up in their Weddy High garb this year. Was it? I mean, I guess it must have also been Sam's last day at school as well this week. He appeared in one scene, didn't he? He had his walkie-talkie.
Right.
He was talking to Hope over the walkie-talkie. That was weird.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like that could have been filmed at any point. But mass exodus from Weatherfield High this week. Anyway, what else have we got? Do you reckon has Aaron ended his illustrious career as a mechanic after screwing up on the Jag, or is he going to be sticking around for longer, do you think?
Surely it's their responsibility, because he's just like an apprentice, isn't he?
It felt... He just... I don't know. I don't want to be stereotypical or anything here, but he doesn't feel like he's typical mechanic material. You know? He doesn't seem refty tufty and manly enough. Maybe that's just what I think mechanics should all be like, you know, manly Tyrone.
Yeah, exactly.
Hairy chest and everything. Maybe you were... There's been a couple of mechanics that have gone through Webster's Autos throughout the years, like Nathan and who else as well? Did Tommy work there or something? I can't remember. And I think Aaron may well just join the illustrious ranks of unmemorable, mechanic-y people.
That's a good top 5.
Most top 5 forgettable
top 5
mechanics.
most boring mechanics
at the garage. There've been more than a few of them. Freddie Smith, there's another one. Abby. So anyway, everything's all hunky dory. Shea Webster, just in time.
I didn't like the whole. I'm not going to move in here then because I don't. Well, I think we're moving too fast, and I don't want to upset you and Jack. It's like, oh, for God's sake, you're married to each other.
Well, that's what I thought. And
where are you going to live then? I thought we had this whole story about how you could support yourself.
Well, didn't she say she was going to go back to live with Wendy's? And Wendy's
like, I want to retire.
I want to, exactly. You're my last person. Take the hint, Abby.
I've closed the door on you. You're not coming back. I've changed the locks.
I don't think I'm... You're right that they're married, so really she should just go back there anyway. But I don't think I'm completely invested enough in Abby and Kevin's relationship for me to go, oh no, this would be terrible if... That's
what I was thinking. It's like go on then. Go somewhere else. But where are you going?
End, but yeah. Anyway.
It was really nice to see them hug and be a united front, but I didn't actually care about how they got there.
I'm surprised, considering that Toya was in tonight's episode in the psychic storyline, that they didn't have her kind of loitering around watching baby Alfie going back into number 13.
It's really maddening and disgusting how much she's been like whitewashed out of of Alfie's life so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that she was in it tonight for just a couple of scenes, it feels like, well, this is a warm-up for Toya's return, and maybe we'll see more of her next week.
Well, she hasn't been anywhere.
No, she's just not been in the show for a few weeks, has she? So maybe she's going to be, getting her hackles up when she sees them parading Alfie down the street in the pram. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. And that there's still, I don't think it feels like, although she has now retired, it feels like there is more to come for Wendy.
I know, what was the point of Wendy
apart
then?
from that little scene with Ken last week, which was kind of nice, but like I think we said in last week's podcast, nobody was begging for closure for Wendy and Ken. I'm thinking, this character could have been anybody. It didn't just have to be Wendy. And it's almost like, they were looking for a character to do the job, or looking for an actor to play the part. And Roberta Kerr's like, hello, I can be in it. And everyone's like, no, you can't be in it. You're Wendy Crozier. Hang on a minute. Maybe Wendy Crozier could be doing this for a living now. I don't know. But anyway, it was an okay story. There were just bits of it that didn't really sit right with me. But I think it's time to move on. So, Gemma, tell me all about Summer Job. And that's not kind of anything sexy or kinky that she did not give to Aaron in bed on Friday's episode.
On Monday, Billy tells Summer that she needs to start thinking about what she's going to do now she's not going to university. And I think she was a bit surprised, really, because I think she thinks summer holidays are named after her and she gets August off every year. But no, that's not the case. You have to have a job. So she says, I'm going to look for jobs. And Billy's like, I think you should actually go to university.
Billy's like, jobs don't just fall out of the sky,
Really?
You can't just say, I'm going to decide for a job one day and then by lunchtime you've got one. That doesn't happen, does it?
That's silly. Jacob tells her that the factory has a PA job going because the management is not bloated enough there.
Who'd have thought?
That they've got too many machinists and not enough people supervising them and fannying around and making deals go sour. Yeah. So Summer goes to Underworld to try and get Carla to give her the job. And Carla says, I don't really think this is the job for you. You wanted to go to Oxford the other day. And Summer says, no, I want to do this. I want to get my foot on the ladder now.
It's the dream. I want to be PA to you, Carla. It's been my life's dream, my ambition.
There's no point doing this in 3 years when I can do it now. And Carla's like, that's the sort of go-getting attitude that I want to hear. And then Beth comes in and she's not very happy about this because she wanted to break into management and she came to a meeting last year and everything.
Remember that?
Yes, I do. Yep. She borrowed Sarah Louise's and who used to have it?
What?
Clipboard.
Dirk. Sophie Webster.
Yeah.
I wonder, I'd really like to ask Lisa George, is it really, really draining to play such a massive cow all this time?
I love her.
I'd really... Do you?
Yeah, I love...
I hate Beth.
Beth, she also looked great this week too.
I just think it must be a bit rubbish to be a character that genuinely lots of viewers used to really like, and she used to be kind of nice, and she was very mama bearish to Craig and everything, and she maybe got her knickers into us every so often, but now literally every time that Beth opens her mouth, it's just to be vile to people. I think it might be quite funny. They really need to tone her down.
Carla tells Beth where to go. So, Summer and Billy go to the Bistro to celebrate her job. Billy's
like, well, you know what? I was wrong. You showed me, Summer, you can get a job just by thinking it. You ask the universe and it happens.
You manifested your destiny. Billy says it's a stopgap before she gets her results. And she says, no, I've always wanted to be a PA. So on Wednesday, she's dressed up for her first day at the factory. She's excited, but she's nervous. And Beth's still being cowy to her. And Sally's trying to get her to back off and tell Summer to come and see her if Beth causes her any trouble. Then we see Summer having lunch with Aaron in the pub, and he's telling her about how he's in trouble at the garage about this drag thing. And he's like, oh, ow, I've got a pain. And then he says, I've got jumped on the way home. He shows her a nasty bruise.
He's like, let me just take my shirt off and titillate the audience. I've been on the show for 2 months and I've not done a shirtless shot yet, so hello, ladies.
Heat magazine isn't going to do the centrefold of me, so I'll show you right now.
Circle of shame, giant bruise.
He reckons he was mugged, and she says, go to the police, and he says, no, I shall not. Summer and Aaron meet up again at Victoria Gardens later, and they're having a nice time, and he's still going, oh, ow, oh, my side.
Caress me, Summer.
Later on, he's on the phone, and he's talking to somebody, and he's very worried and concerned, and he's sort of making excuses for why he's not home yet, and it looks like he's being told off or having a guilt trip or something. Then Summer comes in, and he says, oh, yeah, anyway, thanks, officer, see you later, bye. And makes excuses, gives her a kiss and leaves.
Mysterious.
So on Friday, Billy tells Summer that he's going to be back later today because he's got a church fundraiser and he needs to put the chairs out. Which, if that's what a bishop does, archdeacon, then sign me up because I can do that as well.
Gemma, it's not all about stacking chairs. It's also about giving out soup to the homeless.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay. Some says, can I have the girls over for a pampering evening? So she invites them over. She invites Amy
and Asher.
And they say, why are you asking us when you got an empty flat? Why should you ask Aaron over?
Amy Barlow.
I know, Amy's a randy little...
She's got a dirty mind, that young girl. I always thought, she was a bit more sensible and chaste than that. But look,
Amy Barlow.
Get yourself knocked up when you're... How old was she? 14, 15, and suddenly it's all that sex.
Don't shame her. She's just a hoe.
Amy Barlow, that's what she should be called.
That's just how she wants to live her life. It's fine.
She's just very free about
she's a modern woman.
Shagging about.
So someone decides to invite her him over.
I suppose with that Amy in a presumably sexually active relationship with Jacob, she's like, well, surely everybody should be doing it. It's great.
Just go shagging about.
But
what's wrong with why you're making very?
No, I'm not.
They are.
I just find it difficult when characters grow up. It's because you've watched
them grow up, isn't it? And they're like little girls. It's like naughty girls.
It is. I feel very paternal towards some of these characters. And I'm like, no, you're too young for all that hanky-panky. Come on, Amy, you're just a wee little girl.
So anyway,
what would Nana Blanche say?
Asher brings Summer a slinky dress in the factory, and she tries to put it on, but it's too small.
No, she's too fat. She's
right,
so fat,
that's what she thinks.
So
and then Ash is like, I thought that you'd fit that because it wouldn't fit me, and things like that, and it makes her feel bad about herself. So she wears this like incredibly unflattering kind of weird black sack dress. And Aaron comes round and they have a little kiss on the bed, and she wants to take it further, and then he says, "Are you okay?" And she says yes, and then he touches her leg right at the top of her thigh, and I think because that's like probably your largest part of your body, isn't it? If you're a woman, the top of your thigh is it's wide. It's because of the way women are shaped. We have bigger thighs and bums.
That was getting a bit racy, that scene, wasn't it?
Well, put a stop to that, didn't she? Because she didn't like it.
How far is this going to go?
She says, "Oh no!" She gets panicking, and she tells him he's got to go. So Billy and Todd get back later, and then you mentioned this, didn't you? So They come back, and they're really shocked because she admits that Aaron was there, and Todd gets really kind of defensive of her and starts going, "Where is he?
Alone in the flat with the boy.
Where is he?"
And I was like, guys, in about a week or two's time, you're going to be sending her off to another country to enjoy a sexy summer holiday with this boy. What do you think they're going to be doing? Building sandcastles together?
I think they probably think that, yeah.
It just felt really bizarre.
It was.
And we said at the time that they were very accepting of their decision to go on holiday together, without any supervising adults. So maybe it was, I don't know, I just can't get my head around why they were so shocked about it when they seem very liberal about their relationship up to this point. And that's what I think about that.
So they all get defensive, but Summer kind of calms them down. Then she catches up with Aaron in Victoria Street later and says, I'm really sorry, I just didn't want you to see me undressed. And then Aaron says, you're so gorgeous. I know you feel insecure.
I'd love to see you undressed, honestly.
And she says, I'll try to make myself more confident so I'll be okay for us to go on holiday. And he says, look, should we just cancel it if you're going to be like this about it? Well, he's nice, isn't he? He says, look, if you feel like it's putting pressure on you, maybe we shouldn't go.
He doesn't say it in a nasty way, does he?
He doesn't.
But she takes it really badly.
I don't think he's trying to manipulate her, but he certainly could, manipulate her.
Aaron is Mr. Nice Guy at the moment. He hasn't got a manipulative
bone in his body. What is he up to?
He's definitely lying about something.
Yeah.
But
I think it's obvious what's going on. She goes back home all miserable, tells Billy and Todd what's happened, says Aaron's broken up with her. She wants to go to bed, And Billy sympathises with
She
her.
goes, oh, well, why? Isn't it rubbish when people break up with you? So, so what's going on with Aaron then?
Well, I think he's being abused.
Abusive
at home,
parents,
isn't he?
maybe?
I mean, maybe it's not as simple as that. Maybe he lives with his grandma or his brother or his cousin, or he's being fostered by someone, or something more complicated than that. But it certainly does look like he's being manipulated and sort of physically abused by somebody. And we know that he had an eating disorder. He said that before, and he's got his diabetes. But it does make me wonder, is he lying about some of these things?
Yeah, maybe.
And also, how difficult must it be for him to manage his diabetes if he's also in an abusive household? Because sometimes carers and parents can abuse you in a kind of medical way. I don't believe you've got anything wrong with you, or I don't think you're kind of just being silly and playing it up. You don't have diabetes. I'm not going to get you any of this insulin. You're just playing it up for the doctors, kind of thing. I wonder if they could go down that route, because that's.
Are you kind of getting at all Curtis vibes from Aaron? Because, Mr. Nice Guy, something funny and medical about him. Don't know whether you can trust him. He's got a secret that he's keeping from the very sweet, innocent girlfriend that's a main character on the programme,
I guess so. I don't know that he's lying so much as not divulging all the information. Also, if he's being abused, I can't see how he's going to be able to get away. On the phone, it seemed like he was being harangued for not going back at a certain time when he was supposed to be back home, and he was late or something. So why is he allowed to go on a holiday? What's going on there?
Maybe they don't know.
Maybe he's broken up with Summer because he actually can't go on holiday anymore, and he's trying to find a way out of it.
Find a way of weaseling out of it, maybe. I was also wondering as well that if his parents or carers or whoever's there with him are physically abusive to him, you'd think that he would have lots of different bruises on him and not just this most recent one. So if he was going to get his kit off for Summer in today's episode, you might have seen that, and then it might have been the jigs up for him.
He's also not very good at hiding it either. Oh, ow, no, nothing wrong with me. Oh, ow, my pain in my side. Come on, Aaron.
Yeah. I'm struggling to completely despise or have no interest in this, because I do kind of like them as a couple. Summer, I prefer the old Summer, but I think that they're quite.
Yeah, Summer's robot's not here today, everybody. I'm sorry.
I think
Michael forgot.
No, I didn't forget.
Good.
You've made your feelings on Summer's robot very clear.
Oh, that's right. Blame me. Call me the party pooper.
No, I kind of like them together. Summer's a bit dull. Aaron's a bit dull, but they're fairly inoffensive. And when we had that scene with him on the phone to his whoever it is on Wednesday, that was the most I've ever been interested in him. So I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't go, any further into that mystery on Friday. I hope we get to see a bit more of it next week. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Anything to add, Gemma? We all done with this story?
Yep.
Thoughts?
Done.
Okay.
Is there anything I need to say?
Leftover stew. So, I said last week that this story was going a bit slow, and I actually had a decent amount of time given over to it on Monday and Wednesday's episodes, at least this week. I have to find another excuse for finding it a little bit dull now. So, Stu is looking troubled on Monday's episode. He heads off for the morning. Yasmin tells Alia that she's having no luck in tracking down Bridget. She's going to talk to some woman at the library, which is apparently not burned down anymore, who it looks like who's like Miss Marple. I don't know if she looks like her. She acts like her anyway. And she's going to do a bit of hunting down of this Bridget woman. So we get introduced after that to some handsome potential supplier, I don't know who he is, Matt, who comes into speed dial, and Alia's all goggly-eyed over him, which upsets Ryan somewhat. And you'd be forgiven for being a bit confused about what the romantic status is between Ryan and Alia up to this point, because I couldn't remember where they're up to at the moment. Could you, going into this week?
No.
I know they split up over the Daisy thing about a year ago, but I couldn't remember where they got back together again. But anyway, he's obviously still holding the torch for her. Yasmin comes back to the speed dial, later, and Stu says, "Oh, I've sent Ryan on an early break because he's really peeved about this Matt." And Yasmin says, "Well, Julie at the library has been very, very helpful in my search for Bridget online. Apparently, she's changed her name. We found an old article in the Gazette about her opening a shop, and she's not Bridget Carpenter anymore. She's something else." And anyway, we've got an address for her, so you can always go and have a hunt for her there. And Stu is not particularly impressed to hear that she's been digging around in his past. And then Alia says, "Look, it's my fault. I encouraged her to do it." But Stu gets very annoyed about this and storms off because getting angry at somebody for no particular reason is a theme for this week's episodes. He ends up in Victoria Gardens with R. Kelly talking about a shared interest in estranged family members. "Oh, my dad left me. Oh, my wife left me. Oh, my daughter left me. Oh, my mum left me. Aren't we tragic? Aren't our lives awful?" And she says, "Look, just go easy on Yasmin. She has your best interests at heart after all." So we then see Stu turning up at a bit of a posh house. And it reminded me very much of the area where they filmed Grasmere Drive. Did you get those vibes from the front of Bridget's house?
Yes,
Bit posh, bit
yeah.
fancy. The door wasn't rectangular. It had a bit of a triangle on the top of it. Very nice. Anyway, we get to meet Bridget, who answers the door, immediately tries to close it when she sees it's her old dad there. And he says, "Oh, hear me out, Bridget. I didn't hurt that girl, I swear it." Mystery. But she shuts the door in his face, even so. We also, and I didn't know which storyline to put this in, we also have Stephen turning up at speed dial later, and he's been all flirty with Yasmin because it turns out that Elaine is yesterday's news and now he's got the hots for Yaz. So Stu turns up at speed dial later. Yasmin says, "Look, I'm really sorry about poking my nose around in your history." And he says, No, it's I should be the one that's saying sorry, I overreacted. Anyway, I went to the address that you gave me. Bridget wasn't there. Let's just move on with this now and forget about her. Don't really go and have a chat with Stephen. He's willing to forgive her, but he's still just a bit narked that she was sniffing around in his personal life. Anyway, Stephen finishes off on his lovely curry, and then they ask Yasmin out on a date later, and she's like, "Oh, go on then." She goes and tells Alia, although she's not really into Stephen at all. She says that she describes him as being a bit too polished. Stu sees them leaving together. He's a bit narked about that. They end up going to the Bistro. They were going to go to have lunch in Chawtonville, but because Kevin's not managed to fix his car, they can't go. One thing I noticed about this week's Coronation Street that didn't really affect the notes too much is that lots of the stories kind of crossed over with each other. Did you kind of notice that?
Yeah.
Stephen was poking his nose in everyone's business this week. And
Well, there was also a scene today when people were walking down Victoria Street and there was like a row of 3 people and each of them had their own little story that we...
Tag, now it's time for your story. Pass the baton. Yeah, but anyway... So that's what's going on with Stephen there. They see Billy in the Bistro, who tells her to tell Stu that he's got a book that he was asking about homeless person overcoming adversity. And then in Victoria Gardens at the end of the episode, Yasmin finds Stu there. She says she's ditched Stephen in favour of him because Stephen's a bit of a git, a bit of a posh git. And she says, "Look, I just want to hang out with my homie," and that's you, Stu, by the way. And he says, "I want to be more than just homies." And she's like, "Well, look, they just need to take things slow at the moment. Still recovering from Jeff." So that's how we kind of leave things on Monday's episode. And that scene, by the way, little story about that. So at the beginning of June, I was speaking to Shelley King, because that's when she did her recording for the
quiz.
For the quiz.
Corrie,
yes, and I was asking her
anniversary quiz.
Yes, and I was asking her, how she's been at work, because Yasmin had been a bit quiet recently when I recorded that, and she says, "Oh, just been recording a scene outside, and it was absolutely freezing cold, and it was supposed to be the middle of summer, and we were all there with coats on and being freezing, and it's a little romantic scene with me and with Yasmin and Stu." So I think that was possibly it. So
there we go.
That was quite nice when I saw that.
And that's
happening.
why it looked cold.
Because it was in our little cold snap at the beginning of June when they were filming that, and not in the heat wave that we're currently enduring. Wednesday, Yasmin fills Alia in about the whole Stu situation with Bridget. She also tries to kind of dig for details about her and Matt. Or maybe you're still holding a torch for Ryan, Yasmin says, but Alia won't say. Then later on, we get an old mate of Stu's who comes into speed dial. Very happy to see each other. This bloke, did he used to be homeless? Was that what it was?
I'm not sure, but they obviously had
some kind of shared history. But now he's got a job as a greeter in Freshco's and he's waiting on a flat and everything. And Stu says, look, I'll get you some food. But then he pays for it himself, doesn't he? He puts some of his own money in the till because this bloke hasn't got anything to give himself.
But he came in and he just wanted onion bhajis, and then Stu was like, oh, you have to have more than that. And he says, oh, I can't really afford it. I'm thinking, why did you go into speed dial if you only have enough money to buy onion bhajis? Why would you not just go to Roy's Rolls and have like a full meal?
Or the Co-op, or literally anywhere. That's the most expensive place to eat on the street. On
Victoria Street.
Yeah. But he just likes a good Indian.
Maybe he just likes onion bhajis. Maybe he did maybe he's on a diet.
The onion bhaji diet, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, Yasmin spots Stu putting this money in the till and she says, oh, it's very kind of you. And she gives him a peck on the cheek. And Stu says, he comes up with a genius brainwave idea that we could tackle food waste by giving free leftover food to people who are skint. Or does he say they're going to sell some leftover food at reduced prices or something?
Yeah, they said they were going to do that.
Yellow sticker in thing. So at the end of the episode, they're all the local business owners. So there's Nina representing Roy's, there's Dev, there's a few others I can't remember, all getting together about how they're going to tackle food waste, which is a nice little up-to-date, modern, relevant topic. Friday, that bit of the story falls off and it's just a bit more about Alia and Ryan and their lack of relationship. And he ends up quitting at the bistro, doesn't he? Because she doesn't believe him that they're out of prawns, and then he starts telling her about, well, if you weren't falling over Matt, maybe you'd have noticed.
I thought more would come out of this missing bag of prawns.
Yeah, it was nothing. Nothing happened. So anyway, he goes back to the pub, does Ryan, and he has a grumble to Jenny about it. Maybe I should just move away to Ibiza. Debbie offers him work at the bistro. See, this is another story that kind of crossed over with another. Maybe I should have put this in the Debbie storyline. Just remember this for later, everybody. Ryan goes back to speed dial later, sees Alia flirting with Matt for a little bit more, and he heads off again. And like I said, you have to wait for the Debbie story to find out what happened with Ryan there. So, Gemma, what are your thoughts on Stu's leftover stew storyline? Come on. I want to hear some passion about this. Give me your full, honest, frank opinions about what's going on with the leftover food story.
Well, this is all good
Corrie.
and interesting, isn't it? But nobody's pointed out any problems with it. Like, businesses always say, oh, we can't, liable, blah, blah. Why would anybody buy food if you could just get it for free after a certain amount of time or whatever? I mean, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, more places seem to be doing it because we use this Too Good To Go app, don't we?
Yeah.
Wait, do you want to do a bit of adverts for that? Maybe they'll give us some free food.
It's just an app that you can download, and it tells you what's available in your area, and it's usually discounted quite a lot. But you can't pick what it is. So after a certain time in the day, food will be available for you to go and pick up. Sometimes they cancel it. That's the annoying thing.
Yeah.
But it's different. Like carveries, some carveries do it. Starbucks does it. Costa does it. And you'll just go there and they'll sort of give you a bag of croissants and a sandwich or something.
Yeah, we had a really nice experience in London, didn't we?
Instead of it costing like £10, it'll cost you £2.50 or something.
Yeah, we did it with Starbucks as well one time last year, and they just gave us a load of vegan food.
They gave us vegan porridge, vegan tuna sandwiches, some croissants, which were nice.
Yeah.
And weird stuff we would never have wanted to eat.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea for a initiative. I'm not sure yet how it's going to actually be a story, other than a just very generic. Oh, look everybody!
Well,
tackling food waste, aren't we great on Coronation Street?
It's kind of interesting because we only just had Spider and Toya going through Dev's bins.
Oh yes,
and Dev was one of the people that came to this meeting about food waste.
Oh yeah, maybe that's how they're going to get Spider back into it.
And Dev was saying, oh, is it going to be good for business? I'm going to join a sustainable business organisation and get a sticker. And they were like, oh, is it recyclable or something? And he was like, I think it will be. I think that the sustainable business sticker will be sustainable, which I thought was really funny.
That's very true. If they get Spider and his homeless chummies involved in this, maybe I'll be a bit more interested. But
it was.
He wouldn't mind getting all the free vegan food from Starbucks. He'd love it.
It was kind of funny that Dev was like, oh, nobody was saying anything like, why should I bother? This seems like more effort for me and I'm not going to get anything out of it. Which I think is not a completely unreasonable response. Maybe it's not the one that people want to hear. And, but you can't deny that lots of people don't do stuff because they just can't be bothered.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So the fact that everyone was just really on board with this, a bit suspicious.
So what do you reckon about Stu's secret about, I didn't hurt that girl? What's going on there?
What's going on? Why did he say that? When did that come out?
When he was at Bridget's house and she was refusing to let him in. So this is clearly, we found out the reason as to why they're estranged.
Now, if Coronation Street is brave and makes this like a properly horrific sort of crime or terrible thing that Stu has been accused of, I would be actually quite impressed with them. But it's going to be something he didn't actually do, or that it's all going to get totally cleared innocent. Up at the end.
I'm not thinking in the slightest that he actually did what he's been accused of.
Yeah.
But is it going
to be something stupid like where he takes the blame for somebody for no reason and therefore is estranged for his daughter?
He's very honourable.
And then it turns out that he was in the right all along and he did the right thing, whereas actually, no, that seems like a bit of an arsehole thing to do to your kid, to like pretend you committed a crime when you actually didn't, just to cover for somebody else.
Did you get the impression that it was he's physically hurt someone, or is this an underage is Stu a bit of a pedo van man kind of story?
I don't know. I'm like it doesn't matter because he didn't do it. He's gonna be completely exonerated and innocent if I know Coronation Street, which I think I might do.
I'm wondering whether Bridget's going to turn up at speed dial one day. Is
this person accused him falsely?
Yeah, because if they're going ahead with this drive to do yellow stickering and whatnot, that might end up with them having a lovely photo in the Gazette, mightn't it?
Yeah.
Bridget sees her dad in the Gazette.
And she's like, I can't believe, Dad, you would do this and you hurt that girl.
She turns up at speed dial, tells Yasmin, do you know who you're getting yourself into here? The notorious girl herter Stu Carpenter.
What?
And then Yasmin is like, I knew it, you are exactly like Jeff, just as I suspected.
And then he'll say, no, I didn't do it. Yeah. It was a misunderstanding.
Kind of feels like it's going to go that way. But, I quite often get it in my head exactly how a story's going to go.
We like to get our knickers in a twist about things that don't happen. I do love to
get my knickers in a twist about things that haven't happened, yeah. But at least the story is starting to move on a little bit now, which is nice. As is the rekindling of the Alia and Ryan romance. And I think a lot of people seem to be quite pro those two as a couple when they were dating, weren't they? It did fall into the usual Corrie trap of never ever show a couple together, so you can't form any real idea about what they're like as a partnership. But
I know, and it really annoys me because I gave Coronation Street a really plausible solution to break them up as to why they would be incompatible, and it just turned out they just got mad and jealous of each other.
Yeah. I assume they'll get back together at the end of this as well. It's kind of working its way up to that.
But the thing is about it, they're basically incompatible. Like I said before, Alia's very driven and ambitious, and Ryan is just a coaster and a dreamer. He's even talking today we haven't talked about the storyline, but in the Bistro, he was like, oh, I want to go, or was it in the Rovers? He's talking to Jenny. Oh, I want to just go to Ibiza with my friends and buy a bar or something.
But I think that's the problem. Sometimes it doesn't really matter whether a pair of characters are compatible or not. If the powers that be decide, let's put these two together, then they'll just throw them together anyway.
Yeah.
Well, go on. Let's move on to the Debbie story and find out what else Ryan's been getting up to. Then, Gemma, over to you. Wednesday.
Well, it's poor Debbie, isn't it? She's under her head as far as money is concerned.
Overhead. Isn't that the phrase?
I don't know. She's up to her elbows in something, according to somebody else this week. On Wednesday, Ronnie suggests that Debbie does theme nights at the Bistro to raise cash. So, she has a genius idea. She has a psychic night and a casino night. And Leanne is not very happy about this psychic night. And she moans to Nick about it later. And I don't know why she didn't actually say... did she say this to Debbie?
She must have said it.
Or
we must have just missed it.
She's just so mardy and moany. She's gone back to being miserable Leanne again.
Gosh, she was sour-faced this week, wasn't she, Leanne? She was very difficult to like this week. Yes, she has had a bit of an experience with dodgy psychics just last year. But I mean, that turned out to be more Simon's fault, wasn't it? Because it was a psychic that came over to see Leanne when she was mourning Oliver and saying, "Oh, Oliver's left you a feather." But then it turned out that it was Simon, putting feathers all over the place. I can't remember whether the psychic actually did, try and screw her over. But anyway, Leanne's decided that psychics are all a bunch of charlatans. And so how dare Debbie even suggest having a themed night around one?
Well, Debbie thinks
they're all... casinos.
Oh, Debbie thinks they're all a bit of fun, doesn't she? She doesn't really care. On Friday, she's getting ready for it, and Leanne's just being sarky about it still. Debbie goes leafleting out in the street, and Deb's there, like, wearing this very Parisian-looking Breton top.
He just needed a string of onions and a beret.
Hello.
He's like, bonjour. And I said to you, did Jimmy Harkishan ad-lib that bonjour? Because it's the sort of thing that he would do, isn't it? Not that I've ever met him or known him or anything, but I can just see Jimmy Harkishan, just for fun, saying bonjour instead of hello. And then he said au revoir. Then Sue Giovanni just had to kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
Because her reaction felt like, oh, we're going here, are we, Jimmy? Bonjour, monsieur.
I tell you what, I'd love Jimmy Harkishan to do one of the Corrie special guest.
Oh my gosh, if they did a Star Tour with Jimmy Harkishan, I'd be all over it.
There's one in September.
There were a few coming up. Just wait until the cabin section, Jimmy.
I absolutely love Jimmy Harkishan. Maybe I don't want to meet him because I love him so much. They say never meet a hero, don't they? Could he live up to my expectations? I don't know, because I think incredibly highly of him. So anyway, French Dev's like, oh, casino night, it sounds so good. Then she gets into a war of words with Bernie, who is asking her for compensation for Paul because he's traumatised over what happened to Ed at her hotel. I was expecting Bernie to be super into the idea of a psychic night and come and be a rival psychic, or stick her oar in and be like, trying to flog
tarot
crystals.
Cards, love. It's all about the crystals.
Yeah.
I think she would have probably done it cheaper than psychic Sylvia.
Definitely. So, Leanne then has another rant. You've written a mother rant, but it was, I guess, a mother rant, wasn't it? At Debbie, after hearing that she's taken on Ryan without consulting her. And Debbie looks like she's going to follow in Kevin's footsteps and smash something up until Ronnie comes and calms her down, and she's like, look, I don't know what to do anymore. About the only option left is an insurance job. I'm only joking. Haha. Or am I?
Yeah.
Then we get Sienna, the psychic, turning up, which was really funny because she looked nothing like her Instagram picture or her
poster
picture, which was filtered and tweaked to the nines. And Debbie was like, what's happened? What's happened to your face? So she then immediately goes, she's got all these bits of paper, hasn't she? But she's written down notes about people, and she goes up to Toya and she says, oh, is your name Toya? Oh, I've got a message from somebody called Imran. He says it's not your fault. And Leanne's like really furious. And
I'll tell you what, whenever this trial's going to happen, I think they need to get psychic Sylvia.
She can be a character witness.
She can't she?
She can say, I'm going to channel Imran Habib.
He says it's not her fault, Your Honour.
Okay, case
That's all
dismissed.
the evidence I need, yeah.
So, Leanne doesn't like this, as you might have guessed. She gets furious, and I think...
She and Toya end up just leaving in the end, don't they?
Yeah, Toya looks a bit like, ooh.
Well, yeah, when the woman says, oh, Imran says it's not your fault, Toya almost does give a look of...
But really? It is my fault.
Well, it's either that or it's a case of, this woman's onto something here.
Maybe she is psychic.
Does Toya believe in psychics?
Why not? They head off to Leanne's flat and Toya says that she's exchanged a few messages with Spider. Then we come back to the Bistro and Sienna is chatting up Ryan. And she's like, oh, I can tell that you like beaches because you look like sort of vacuous idiot that would spend their holiday enjoying the beach, which is the most boring holiday destination, as we all know. And she's like, oh, where do you like? And then she says a bunch of places, and then she says Ibiza, and he's like, how did you know?
Well, yeah, she just does the classic. What's it called? Cold reading, is it?
It's where you just say a load of things until
somebody says, that's me, I've got a dead granddad. How did you know?
Oh, was he salt of the earth? Did he like to go and sit in his shed?
Really friendly, yeah.
Did he give you Worth's originals?
Really into families, yeah.
Did he like Yorkshire puddings? So Sienna's in talking to him, and he says, she kind of tells him that there's a gig abroad waiting for him or something.
Yeah, she's going over to Ibiza herself next week.
She's going, I can tell that there's a job in Ibiza for you because I'm offering it to you. That's right. Because psychics can make their own future. But he's like, oh, we can't afford to go. And then Debbie seems to have an idea, and she gets completely sozzled, and she starts confessing to Ryan about how in debt she is. And she says, I've got a plan, and this is an original plan that nobody's ever thought of before. This
has never happened before on Coronation
And it certainly never happened in exactly this same spot.
It definitely wasn't a member of your family that was involved in it the last time it happened as well.
Do you know the old Connor story of the Bistro Ninja? He's like, oh, we used to hear about this all the time. She basically says, stage a break-in, and I'll give you enough money to go and fulfill your dreams, and I'll get out of my debts.
Yeah, as soon as Debbie kind of put this idea to Ryan, Gemma and I both looked at each other and were like, Bistro Ninja!
Time to make t-shirts.
This is an Ian Kershaw episode as well, and that would have just shown how much of a fan of Coronation Street he is if he'd been able to work the words Bistro Ninja into that script somehow.
If Ryan had said something like, what do you mean, I'm not some kind of ninja? We would have gone, ah!
Thank you for calling. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he didn't quite go that far, but that's the plan at the moment. We will find out soon enough whether he's stupid enough to try to attempt this.
This is Ryan, he is.
Oh, well, I mean, Michelle
runs in the genes.
Equally as dumb.
Well, I think this could be quite fun because I think it's going to be like it could like play out as like a heist on casino night.
Or like Ocean's 11.
He could Ocean's 11 it, couldn't he?
Except without the charisma, charm, or intelligence.
Yeah, the 11 is his IQ. I think. I think that him doing it. I don't want to build my hopes up with this, but this could be a really fun, heisty kind of episode, couldn't it?
Bumbling.
If it's done when everyone's dressed up, dripping with diamonds and fake costume jewelry.
They can't do this seriously. Because
no, they
this
can't.
Is not the first time. It's not even like it happened in the dim and distant Coronation Street past. This happened...
There have been Bistro Ninjas a number of times in the show.
Not that long ago. I mean, within the last 10 years, because we talked about it on the show.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it could be a lot of fun. So I also
I'm not totally down on the idea, even though we've had it before. As long as it's been done from a different perspective. Like it was kind of semi-serious when it was done for drama when Michelle did it, but it just turned into a bit of a farce. Whereas if they made it a farce from the out, and the fact that it's Ryan doing it gives me a bit of hope that it's going to be a bit of a bumbling.
Well, yeah, I like Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan Prescott is a decent kind of comic bumbling actor at times, and I think it could be well done. I like the idea of everything dressed up in casino themes. I thought the psychic night itself tonight was quite fun. And yeah, it could go well. Obviously, he's going to get caught. I don't think that this is going to be the end to Debbie's problems. Methinks things might get worse for Ms. Webster rather than better after this idea. But yeah, I'm kind of into this. I liked her talking to Ryan about explaining about all her businesses. I can't remember because I don't understand business.
She said they were all like leveraged against the other one.
Yeah. So she's got all these she's got all these businesses, but actually she's got no money, and I don't understand it. He was basically saying like I was like that when I'm broke it means I have got no money. When you're broke it means you've got 8 hotels and a salon and a brewery.
Yeah, but she still had the gall to stand there. This is what's wrong with this country. There are so many people like this She's got the gall to stand there and go, hey, well, Ryan, you don't understand exactly what I mean, because at the end of the day, she says, in between drinking champagne from a glass that she owns in a bistro that she only half owns, that all the places that she owns, she only owns because she's kind of finagled it. But she still admitted that she owned half the bistro, and that's more than Ryan's got in his life. And also, he's not the one drinking champagne, is he? And also, you've got an amazing collection of earrings, which at the end of the day, what else do you need?
The earrings.
She could do a charity auction. She could do a like we had Bette Lynch's.
The other year.
Yeah.
Charity.
I'd buy a pair.
Did you enjoy Psychic Sienna, or was she a bit too silly for your taste?
I liked it. Yeah, I'm sure that people that like and believe in psychics found it to be disrespectful, but even people who believe in psychic powers must admit that there are a few charlatans knocking about.
Yes, I thought that she played the character well. I mean, it was a very
silly.
It was tried and tested. I don't think it was particularly a new spin on the charlatan psychic kind of angle, was it? But
I liked it.
I liked it when she was saying, "Oh, now say goodbye to your granddad. Wave him off. There he goes. There he goes." And the woman she was talking about
just waving
going
by.
She was fun. I don't think we'll see her again. It reminded me a little bit, and I must have shown you this episode before, from the 90s. Do you remember when Alec Gilroy had like a psychic act in the Rovers, and it was a mother and son act, and he was and part of the act was something like a member of the public would give the mum an item of clothing, and then. And I would give him an item of clothing, and the mum would be blindfolded, and the mum, being a psychic, would have to see what it was.
Maybe I do remember.
And the son would drop hints in the phrases that he was telling his mum that made her go, "Oh, it's a watch," because
it's time for the next one.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of that a little bit, but no, it was quite fun. All good fun and nothing too serious particularly. And like I said before, very happy that Debbie has got a storyline. So this also ties into, speaking of Debbie's businesses, we have got the salon. And again, maybe we missed it. Has anything been said about Debbie's financial situation is slightly better at the moment because the Platts are leasing the salon from her?
But are they? Because I thought she said she didn't want to.
Well, I think they've done it now.
I don't think they did.
I mean, they let her in and everything, and they've
well, I tell you what,
they've redecorated inside and things. They've probably got it for a month at least.
If Debbie let them go in there and redecorate the whole place without signing the lease first, then she is stupid businesswoman.
She is a bit, isn't she? Anyway, so Monday, Audrey is visited by Becky, the psychiatric liaison lady.
It's important to note here that
hospital.
Psychics and psychiatric liaisons are two different sorts
things.
of people.
Yes. Because we were last left on Friday, weren't we, with the bombshell that she possibly took an overdose of sleeping pills, and Audrey just wants people to stop fussing around. She says, "Oh, I just miscounted my pills. When can I go home?" And Becky says, "Look, it's quicker if you're honest with me, and then you can just get off home." But apparently it works, because the next time we see Audrey, she's buggering off from hospital. Stephen's there. No, she's on the phone to Stephen, isn't she? And then she gets into a taxi, which Ed sees, because he has also just been discharged from hospital after his electrocution ordeal. So later on, Audrey's in the pub with Sarah Louise.
It's such a Coronation Street, my goodness.
They're always at the hospital for one reason or another.
She's in because she's taken an overdose, and he's in because he got electrocuted by a radiator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Coronation Street ward is now just got an empty bed in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's with Sarah Lou in the pub later, and Audrey says she's just saying, I'm fine. Stop talking to me about about everything. Ed comes over, doesn't he? And he's like, how are you doing? I saw you at the hospital. Is everything all right?
Shut up.
And Audrey's like, Sarah Louise, I was just there meeting my friend Barbara. And Sarah's like, I've never heard of any Barbaras. I'm a bit suspicious.
I don't believe that Audrey doesn't know at least 5 Barbaras.
I know. I mean, all old people know somebody called Barbara, don't they? And Audrey's got probably
also,
a very
Sarah, you don't
wide social circle.
Yeah, was she talking about Sarah? Does it? You don't even know what her friends are called. I bet you don't even know what her mum was called.
Anyway, Audrey is swearing that she's not keeping anything at all from the Platts, and Sarah says, I don't know whether I believe you. So Wednesday, it was mentioned. Wednesday, I've forgotten about this completely. Debbie tells Audrey that the lease is ready to sign if you want it. The whole of Wednesday's episode is actually correct, everything I just said, is Wednesday badgering Audrey to sign this lease.
Yeah.
And Audrey isn't particularly bothered by this. So she's just kind of saying, I need a bit of time to think about it. Audrey ends up snapping at Debbie in the bistro later, saying, look, I've only just got into the bistro, because she goes there for a meal with someone or other. She says, I don't want to do it right now. And then Nick says, tell you what, Gran, I'm picking up vibes here that maybe you don't want to reopen the salon just yet. And if you don't want to, that's cool.
It's funny that you picked up on me saying continuously, I don't want this.
Well, she's not saying that. She's just putting him off. But at the end of the episode, she just tells him straight, I do not want to open this, full stop. I'm done with it. My saloning days are over. Thanks, but no thanks. So, and then it kind of came to a dead end there, didn't it? Because then Stephen got a bit angry about a car, and that was where the Platt camera was pointing after then. So, do you think that she's going to stick with this? Is she not, or are we expecting to see her back behind the swivel chair of the salon again?
They went to all the trouble of making it look like something that she might like. I don't know.
I think that they wouldn't have redone the set if they weren't going to have her working there again. And I do apologise to everybody who listened on the podcast last week, and we mentioned the fact that they changed the frontage of the salon as well, because they still haven't even shown that this week. So maybe we're a little bit spoilery, but the salon's going to look a little bit different soon. But that still doesn't necessarily mean that Audrey's going to be the one there cutting hair. Maybe, I don't know. She probably is a bit past it though, isn't she? If I was her, how old is she, 82? I'd probably want to just retire.
Yeah, why would you... I can't wait to. I don't think I'm going to be able to, probably realistically, because of the way that life works and how they keep pushing the age of retirement back. But, yeah, sign me up.
I was also surprised that the whole has she taken too many pills on purpose kind of angle completely dropped off. It was mentioned at the beginning of the episode, and she was saying, no, I just miscounted the pills, but then they didn't go any further with that. So, are you thinking at the moment that she did do it on purpose or that she didn't? Because it felt to me that she was just saying, oh, no, I miscounted, just to try and get the nurse lady to leave her alone.
It's interesting that, this big... She hasn't got anyone to confide in, has she? That's the trouble.
What about Barbara?
Yeah, she's just our Barbara. She needs a confidant. Is that why Stephen's here? Is she going to confess this to him, or is she going to try to protect him and tell somebody else?
I'd like to see a nice Audrey and Rita scene, really, because they're best buds again now, aren't they? They've made up after their little spat earlier this year. It just, for something that was such a mega cliffhanger at the end of last Friday's episode, it was weirdly not at all a focus of this week's development. And then the story dropped off for Friday, and thinking, well, is this going to come back at all? We're going to have to wait weeks until we find out whether Audrey wants to be popping pills on purpose. I don't know. I guess we will have to wait and see. Gemma, your lovely Phil has gone. Do you want to recount his final scenes?
I will never be the same again. Okay?
Yes.
On Monday, Fizz is going around to Phil's later to get her stuff, but he ends up bringing the stuff around to her because it's a long way to go, all the way to Cardiff to get her stuff. So he does her a favour, and he's even ironed her clothes. I wouldn't have ironed them. I'd have spat on them. He also is asking after the
Would
girls.
You have put spit in the iron to cause the spray?
Yeah.
And you'd have spit steam.
No, because then you'd ruin your own iron, haven't you? That's played yourself. So he's asking after the girls. He still cares about them. And then, param, here is the signed annulment paper. I can't believe it. The pair sit down and have a nice final chat. And as he leaves, she passes him her wedding and engagement rings. And he says, "You were enough for me, more than enough. The part of me that was missing, but however painful this is, I wouldn't change it." Then he starts quoting Walt Whitman at her and talking about embers burning or something or other. we're not really romantic enough to have followed what I was talking about. Everyone gets home from school and Tyrone and Fizz want to take the girls out to dinner, but Hope's got other plans. They say tough luck, they go out anyway, they come back, the girls haven't changed out their uniforms for some reason.
Yeah, they went out to dinner just still in their school uniforms. What's going on there?
Fizz and Tyrone are all over each other and Hope's like, pass the sick bucket. Then Hope's on her tablet later, on a forum or something or other, and there's somebody there called Mad Dog, not Mad Doc.
It's Dr. Gaddis, she's gone crazy.
She's like, how are you? Well, actually, I don't care. No more appointments. Bye. Asking her about her family, and she walkie-talkie Sam about it, like you said, there he is. And he says maybe Mad Dog fancies her or something.
And that was the very abrupt end of that story.
It's Sam Mad Dog, and he does fancy Hope, and this is his clumsy way of...
Oh, gosh, I hope Sam doesn't... I thought he was holding a torch for old chess girl. Sam's a player. Considering how much Sam was in it at the beginning of the year, we've seen very, very, very little of him recently. And I know that Jude has been doing his sats and everything, so he's got a very good reason for not appearing in Coronation Street. But it has been weird how little he's been appearing on the show. I don't know whether Mad Dog is supposed to be someone who we know who it is. People were suggesting that maybe it's Phil, but I don't think it can be because Phil has absolutely completely left the show.
Well, you know.
Could it be Jack? Could it be Sam? Could it be... I don't really care.
I can't believe that Phil's gone. I don't care who Mad Dog is. I don't care if Hope gets abducted by Pedo Van Man. I'm not bothered. I want Phil back.
Pedo Forum Man. No, I know.
Pedo Van Man might have internet connection in his van. And
what?
He goes around and goes on forums.
we were kind of caught off guard by Phil's leaving, weren't we? And I did say a few weeks ago, I think he'll be gone on the Monday, because that was after the wedding, wasn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I said, wedding on Friday. The way Coronation Street works is that he'll be gone on the Monday. I was just...
Took him another week.
See, I am also psychic, and I knew that it was going to happen on a Monday. But after it happened, we didn't realise, and it needed Coronation Street to put something on social media the next day saying, no, he's really gone.
I know, I'm honestly gutted. I want him to come. Why is he gone? I hate Fizz and Tyrone. I think they suck.
It kind of, just made a lot of what happened last week a little bit pointless. It's like, we need to sneak about. We can't let anyone find out that we're together. Oh no, he's found out we're together. Now he's not going to sign the annulment. Oh, I'll sign the annulment. No, I've changed my mind. I'm tearing up the annulment. Ha ha ha. How are they going to get out of this? Literally, next scene, here's the annulment. Bye, I'm going. It felt like it was a big build up for nothing. That's how I felt about
what happened with Abby and Kevin on Friday.
Yeah, just causing drama for drama's sake. I won't move in with you
then. Oh, but I want you to. Oh, and okay. I don't have anywhere else to go anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it was Tuesday maybe that this video of Jamie McKenna turned up on the internet of him that he's saying that he filmed outside the Bistro, wasn't it? So it must have been done a while ago, and he was just saying in his not at all Phillish accent.
Phillish.
Yeah, I'm going. So that's me done. I've had a great year on Coronation Street. The modern day Jack and Vera are back together again.
Boo!
Why? I don't get it. There are no way the modern day Jack and Vera. But the Corrie really are really trying to push this, aren't they? They had, I can't remember, was it last year they had that in the scripts about them being that, and there were magazine. It was on the front of a soap magazine saying the new Jack and Vera.
I don't think it's fair to compare them because
they're
nothing
like.
Yeah, but you keep saying that. But I think I personally think Jack and Vera are the modern Stan and Hilda in many ways. I don't see...
I know that Tyrone's, a proper man's man, and Fizz is, she's trying the best for her family, but
they're their own people. I think the trouble with the comparison is that it invites you to pour scorn upon Tyrone and Fizz, which I don't think is fair, because I think in many ways that you could argue that they are they kind of inhabit a similar space to Jack and Vera, but they certainly aren't the new Jack and Vera. Well, no, there's a distinction to be made there.
Jack and Vera are all about kind of sneaking around and getting one over in each other and playing tricks on each other and going and Jack would sneak off on his window round and have it off with Dulcie Frogger and Tyrone.
Yeah, but I think that you're talking about the reality of Jack and Vera, and when people say, "Oh, the new Jack and Vera," they're talking about Jack and Vera when they were dead.
Or just a bit before, when they were very
You know
cosy
what I mean?
with each other.
No, well, when they walked off to heaven together, or hell, wherever they're going.
On the bus.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the romanticised, like, vision of their relationship at the very, very end. Their marriage at the end was a lot different than it was all the way through the whole time that they were on Corrie. So when you're saying they're the new Jack and Vera, you're not comparing it to, you know, however many years of infidelity and backstabbing and sniping and hatred, which is basically what they did to each other. You're talking about sweet old, you know, like a pair of like cooey doves, like sitting on a perch together.
It's never a good idea to compare any character and say they are the new insert beloved character here.
Unless you want to screw them over, in which case feel free to. Oh, Carla Connor's the new Elsie Tanner, whatever.
What was the other one that they did? They said that Gary and Adam were the new Ken and Mike or something, didn't they? It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we said that Adam and Daniel were the new...
Well, Daniel clearly is the new Ken.
Yeah.
And I'm just going right back on everything I said because they're doing a quite good job at that. But no, I don't get it. Anyway, I'm very sad to see Phil go, as much as... I feel differently about the reunion of Tyrone and Fizz as you do. Boo. I think that Phil had real potential as a character. He was a really, really nice guy. I think that Jane McKenna was a great actor.
Really, I think
there was lots
so
of potential
brilliant.
for him.
He should have stayed in the show.
Yeah. And, Gemma, I was sorry to break this to you, but no more Phil also means no more Mimi.
What?
No more Coco.
No, I don't understand. I don't agree with this. I think this is wrong.
I think it is wrong as well. But it's a year contract, isn't it?
Well...
maybe he'll come back.
I tell you what, it's a good job that we don't do our contracts year by year with Coronation Street to appear on the show, because if we did, we might not renew them.
Some years. Okay, we're racing through this week's Coronation. This is like the shortest street.
I don't have a lot to say. I'm very tired.
Gemma is very tired this week. You may have noticed this. But yeah, there was a little bit more of the Sally and Tim story at the end of the week. Apparently, Tim's been tossing and turning all night.
That's the problem.
He's been trying to. And Sally's kind of miffed about him still not wanting to talk about their problems with her. And maybe they'll end up sleeping in separate bedrooms and everything because he's just a bit too fidgety during the night. And Beth talks to Sally about this at work and basically says, you know, if a couple starts sleeping in separate beds, then that's the beginning of the end, which I don't think is necessarily true.
No, it isn't.
But I could see Beth thinking this because she's very lovey-dovey with her Kirky, isn't she? But anyway, Tim decides he's going to take Sally to the casino on Monday, which she thinks is a jolly good idea. Because Dev says to Tim, let's have a boys' night out at the casino, and Tim bins him off in favour of his wife.
Can't you go all together? It's a casino night in the place at the end of your road.
Dev hasn't got anybody to go with.
Go, your friends will be there.
I'm looking forward to this casino night.
Take Hardy.
But anyway, the most
I'd
important...
love to see Audrey puffed up pretending he's James Bond at the roulette table, or like playing cards and not actually knowing what the rules are. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah. The best thing to come out of this little story today is we actually got to see the streetcar set, didn't we?
Yeah, it's the first time in years.
Is this the first time since COVID?
Yeah, I think they've changed it as well.
I don't know whether they've changed it or whether I'm just used to saying... Well, no, because there's a lot of streetcars going on in the ITV3 Corrie at the moment, back in 2001. And I know that they definitely did change it a little bit when they moved it to Media City. Like, they made some walls thicker or thinner or something, and they changed the sizing a little bit. So maybe I'm just comparing it to that. But it did feel a little bit different. But it was really, really nice to see back in there again. What was the other set that they had recently for the first time in a long time? I'm sure there was... the salon, wasn't it, obviously, last week?
Yeah.
So that's really cool that they're bringing some of these old ones again. When are we going to get to see the inside of the Undertakers again? Because we haven't seen inside that this year. But hurrah, Streetcars is back. Let's have some more fun Eileen on the Switch scenes, please. That'd be lovely.
Yes, that's how you know that we've returned to
normality. The
way it used to be when we have those lot.
And with that,
yes.
I think we're done with this week's Street Talk because as much as there was a lot that happened this week, it kind of felt to me like it was a bit of a fillery week. It wasn't.
Things happened I didn't want to happen.
Like Phil left.
Yeah, boo.
There was a fun psychic
There was lots of things where it was like, well, that was a waste of time.
There were things happening that is like, why is this character acting in this way just for drama? They're talking about Kevin and Stephen getting strangely angry on Wednesday. What are you thinking about for a score this week?
I'm thinking like 2.5.
You reckon?
2.5 multiverses of dads.
Multiverses of dads. Oh yeah, that was the 3 dad thing, wasn't it? God, I liked how Debbie was in the spotlight a little bit.
Debbie, not Devi.
Debbie and Debbie are both in it.
Debbie and Dev should get together.
Some are getting us. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna see. Nobody ever seems to vote that low on our Facebook poll in the forum, but I'm thinking you got to have a range, haven't you? 2.5 isn't the end of the world.
Well, it's
just a 50-50, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the middle. Yeah, I'm going to go with 2.5.
I think that's probably the lowest I've scored it in a long time.
I reckon it is. Rebecca
was over it.
I
really wasn't really paying attention this week because I found it boring.
Yes, I am going to give this one 2.5 chair stacking monitors out of 5. Character of the week. I don't really know.
Bonjour, Dev.
Is it Psychic Sylvie? She was quite funny.
Phil, because it's his last week.
No, I'm not giving it to Phil for just basically giving up.
Yeah, I agree.
He went out with a whimper, didn't he? If he'd have gone out in a blaze of glory, Natasha Blakeman Part 1 style, that would have been epic.
Getting shot.
No, not in the first time round.
Oh yeah, like going, hate you, you're stupid, you're cool, you're annoying, see you later, busters.
Yeah. So I can't give it to Phil. Definitely not giving it to Moody Stephen or Kevin. Jack, maybe, for having a change of heart. But then I spent most of the week not enjoying Jack because he was being annoyingly angry. I'm kind of edging towards Debbie at the moment for no particular reason other than I really like Debbie and she was just at her Debbie-ish best this week. But I can't really give any more reason other than that. She's kind of set up something fun, potentially, that could happen in next week's Coronation Street.
I just love Debbie. I also love Dev.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Debbie for me. 2.5 and Debbie. You?
I can't think of anyone else I'd rather give it to.
Well, there we go then.
Debbie.
2.5 and Debbie from the both of us. Could do better next week, Coronation Street, please.
It was
fine. It was fine this week.
Yeah.
But that's as far as I'm going to go.
It wasn't for me.
Well, they don't just make it for you.
No, that's fine.